This video essay contains discussion of substance abuse and self-harm. Viewer discretion is advised. A prophetically apocalyptic and terrifyingly beautiful record, In Utero represents the death rattle of classic rock. Themes of addiction, freedom, and rebirth throughout Nirvana's discography croak and shriek in an awesome, disgusting finale for classic rock, representative of a larger cultural rebirth around 1994. By the late 80s, rock music in the mainstream had become pretty redundant. In 1989, Kurt Cobain addressed the Pacific Northwest scene as the last wave of rock music and the ultimate rehash. The king of alternative often spoke about musical freedom and not being tied down to one genre. If grunge was the delicious gumbo soup of almost every subgenre of rock that showed the mainstream what it was missing, In Utero was the sound of that very soup boiling over. Kurt's obsession with death and the macabre was present from the beginning. When he was 14, he made a short film with his friend titled Kurt's Bloody Suicide, using chocolate syrup as blood. He was fascinated with murderers and their psychology, writing several ballads including Floyd the Barber, Paper Cuts, and Polly. An early manager of Nirvana's, Ryan Einer, said, "He was the shape of suicide. He looked like suicide, he walked like suicide, and he talked about suicide." More so, on Milk It, Kurt screams, "Look on the bright side, suicide." However, he was insecure about being labeled a death rocker.
I've just always been kind of obsessed with birth and death and stuff like that. I'm not a death rocker, and I don't wear black, but sometimes I like to collect weird things like that.
Or the book about you come as you are, you sound with fake English accents.
What can I say? I'm a death rocker.
Kurt also wrote lyrics about his astrological sign, Pisces, which represents the final stage of life before death, a heavy, sludgy period of sadness and escapism before returning to the womb and the rebirth of spring. The last true rock star, Kurt Cobain represented the dying youthful hubris of the baby boomers as they reached adulthood and the cultural rebirth from one generation to the next. Many fans consider In Utero this ugly, shrieking amalgamation of addiction, sickness, physiology, dysfunctional family, death, and rebirth to be Kurt's magnum opus and his greatest songwriting effort. Serve the Servants is as close to fan service as Kurt ever got, directly addressing the legendary divorce and his parents. The twangy riff perfectly sets the tone for Kurt's first retort. Teenage angst has paid off well, now I'm bored and old. I love Scentless Apprentice's boneheaded drive and Kurt's primal screams. Heart-Shaped Box is the best single on the album. I love its disgusting, depressed imagery and the fantastically catchy chorus. Rape Me is incredibly powerful and one of Kurt's greatest feminist anthems. The imagery throughout this downward spiral of an album is masterful. I love the line on Frances Farmer, "She'll come back as fire to burn all the liars, leave a blanket of ash on the ground." The melody and chorus on Dumb are hopeless and really put you into Kurt's numb depression. The live version of Pennyroyal Tea is truly haunting. Kurt wails about the life draining from him on a stage decorated with lilies and black candles. In a way, Nirvana on MTV Unplugged was the funeral for classic rock and roll. All Apologies is my all-time favorite Nirvana song. I adore its riff, the lyrics, and the subdued delivery. It's a beautiful swan song to close out the album. 30 years later, the album is eerily foreboding, apocalyptic, and prophetic. After Cobain's death, he was deified as a martyr figure and his story was canonized in pop culture. Not only did rock music sound like Nirvana for a decade after them, modern hip-hop constantly references Cobain and pulls from punk ethos. Rock rap and trap's dark, nocturnal, lo-fi sound with lyrics about sex, drugs, addiction, failed love, despair, and loneliness also mimic the grunge scene of the 90s. It can't be understated how influential Nirvana was across all genres, and In Utero is still a flagship album in rock and roll today. It is disturbingly dark, yet inspiringly raw, and a beautiful final will and testament to Cobain's talent as one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Thanks for watching. For more content like this, hit like and subscribe.